Excuse me, Mr. or Mrs. I'd like to apply for your listening pleasure. Yes, I want you to listen to my video lecture, and to do so I've provided an excellent, informative, amazing cover letter. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a look at cover letters and how to catch someone's attention. How do you get the job? How do you apply for something and attach a cover letter to your resume and make sure that it is business professional? All these things we will discuss today. So make sure you get out your notes, you follow the STORM philosophy, sit back and enjoy. All right, so what are you going to learn today? Well, we're going to take a look at the purpose of cover letters. Why do we use them? Why do we attach these things to resumes and other job applications? How do we format a cover letter? And we're going to really break down the cover letter body. We're going to take a look at a sample cover letter, and then we're going to do a top 10 list. Yes, kind of like David Letterman, only a little bit better, perhaps. So here's what I want you to remember throughout this entire lecture. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Think about those words. Think about how important it is to make a good first impression, especially in the business environment. And cover letters are meant to do just that, make a very solid first impression. So a cover letter is something that you attach with your resume. A resume is this professional document that outlines all of your experiences, your objectives, what you can do for the company. And a cover letter is kind of that document that's in front of it that kind of summarizes it. So a cover letter should be very specific to a position you are applying for. You don't want a general cover letter. Right? That means that you haven't put a lot of thought into it. You want it very specific and connects to the job you're applying for. You want to relate to your skills and experience, those that are noted in the job posting especially, because that's again what you're trying to apply for and secure that job so you can demonstrate those skills and that experience. And again, your cover letter is your first and best chance to make a good impression. It's the one document that most human resources departments will read through, and if they find any kind of error, grammatical, spelling, or they just don't like it, then your resume, along with thousands of other ones that are applying for a position, is simply set aside, cast away, thrown out. So you don't want to set a bad first impression. You want to make sure that it catches that human resources department's eye, that manager's eye, and therefore you will be invited for an interview for that job posting. So a cover letter follows a very specific and simple formula. You have paragraphs in your cover letter, and these paragraphs are outlined just as so. The first paragraph is why. Why are you writing to the organization? The middle paragraph is all about you. This is where you get to really gloat, show off, demonstrate that you can do the job. In your final paragraph, this is your courtesy paragraph. This is thanking the organization. So let's take a look now at each in detail. So again, the first paragraph establishes the purpose of your letter, why you are writing the letter to the organization. You're hoping to attract their attention and arouse their interest. You want them to pick your job application, your resume, out of thousands that are sent in. So therefore, you need to make sure that your cover letter really catches their attention. You want to include any names of mutual contact so that you heard maybe from someone at the organization, that you know someone at the organization that speaks so highly of it and that you want to be a part of it, right? Name drop if you can. In today's business world, it is really about who you know, not as much anymore about what you know. State why you are writing by naming the specific position or type of job. Again, a general cover letter isn't that great. You want to name the specific job you're applying for. And again, this includes why you're interested in that specific job. Okay? Insert a brief sentence that gives your degree some idea about what your major was, where you went to university or college, the graduation date, any other important experience that really lends credit to you as a potential applicant. So a very simple, basic example of a first paragraph is just like this. It was with great interest that I read your ad or posting on monster.com for a customer service representative. So this identifies where you saw the job posting, what the position is, and kind of introducing yourself. Now you want to go into more detail than this, but this is your basic premise of a first paragraph. Now the middle paragraphs, well, these are what we call the meat and potatoes of your job application that your cover letter consists of. This is where you get to generate all sorts of interest in you as a potential applicant. So here you want to include the idea that you have researched the company, that you know the company, and that you know that you are the best candidate for that position, that you would fit so well with the organization. So describe what you have to offer for the employer. Right? Can you help them achieve their organizational goals? Can you help them achieve profit? Can you make them successful or help to contribute to that success? You want to also mention specifically your qualifications and how they match the job. Again, you're highlighting key points from your resume. Not your entire resume, it's just that's way too much, but key points. You want to sell your credentials. Your mission is to prove you should be invited to the interview. Not the person down the street, not the person next door, not anyone else. You. You are number one. Now the final paragraph, this is where you wrap it up. This is what you want to state your commitment to taking action for the company, that you want to be contacted, that you want to apply for this position, you want to have an interview, and you want to get the job. But the part of this is you have to be a little bit grateful, right? You want to thank the employer for their consideration. You understand that they're sifting through thousands of resumes potentially, and that just doing that, you're very grateful. You do want to include information of how you will follow up, that you will phone them or you would appreciate them phoning you. Typically, however, it's that you are going to follow up, that you're going to contact them. They don't want to see someone that's not going to take that initiative, so you phone them. So a typical statement at the end of your cover letter in your final paragraph is a thank you for reading my cover letter, and I will be phoning you to follow up with my application. Right? Again, you're thanking them and you're telling them that you're going to follow up. As well, in some cases, you do want to make reference to any other included documents. If you are submitting an application that includes a number of documents, you want to make sure that they understand, here's my resume, here's my other documents that you need to take a look at, so please take a look at everything. Something in the form of, so here's an example of a cover letter. At the top, you have your name and address, followed by a date, and then the inside address, remember back to business letters, of the person you are contacting. So this all needs to go at the very top of the cover letter. You then follow this up with a salutation. Use an official title. You don't want to include something like, hey man, or hey dude, or hey girl. Dear is very official. It's a nice salutation to use. After this, we have our paragraphs. Again, your first paragraph is your interest, that you want the job and that this is why. Follow this up by generating interest in yourself. What are your requirements? What are your qualifications, right? So you can achieve company objectives. And then the commitment to action, this is your third and final paragraph, right? This is where you're saying, thanks for reviewing, and I'm going to be contacting you to see what you think. At the very bottom is your name. This, again, like business letters, should be both typed and written. Leave some space. You want to make an official signature. Now it's time for Mr. Richette's Top 10. Number 1, do your homework. Learn about the company. Figure out what they do so that you can tailor your cover letter and really show the employer that you fit well with the organization. Number 2, follow instructions. I know this is difficult for some, but you really want to follow instructions. If they say that you have to have your cover letter, your resume in by a certain date, make sure it is so. If they are asking for a number of documents, make sure you give those documents, right? If they are saying that you need to work a certain amount of hours per week, make sure that you state that you can work those certain amount of days per week, right? So you want to really address what they require and the instructions of applying for the job. Number 3, do not restate your resume. This cover letter is an opportunity to make a great first impression. This is where you really need to sell yourself. Think marketing, think advertising, think you are the best product out there on the market. Make sure they know that. So most employers are going to read just the cover letter. It's those ones that are, the attention-getting cover letters will then move on to the resume. So you need to make sure that the cover letter is really the document that's catching their attention. Okay. Number 4, personalize your letter. Whenever possible, address it to a specific person. Make it known that you know the person. Make that connection. There is a lot better when you are receiving a letter for someone and it has your name on it. If it's too general, they may not like that. They may not appreciate that. So use their name. Make sure it's correct as well. Sometimes last names are difficult. Oh, and the other part, sometimes if you find out their name, you can't tell whether it's a Mr. or Mrs. You need to make sure that you do that. Number 5, tailor your letter to the job. Make sure the skills and experience that you highlight in your cover letter are clearly, distinctly connected to the job and its skills and experience required. Make sure that it connects strongly. Number 6, presentation counts. Use a font that's easy to read. Yes, there's some great fonts in various word processing software, but you don't want to use a lot of them because they're not, again, business professional and they're not easy to read. 12-point font, Times New Roman, Arial, Century Gothic, those kind of easy to read fonts are what you want to use. 8.5 by 11 inch white paper is also something. Don't just put it on some green or purple or pink paper. Again, use business professional documents. Number 7, break it down. Make your cover letter easier to read by breaking the text down into short, specific, distinct paragraphs. Don't make one long paragraph. Make many different paragraphs. Every time there's a new idea, a new thought regarding your cover letter, separate it. Give it a different paragraph. Number 8, use a professional tone, a business professional tone. That means respectful language when you're writing your cover letter. Don't make it seem too informal. You want to make it very business professional. And again, the idea of LOL or TTYL or any of those, you don't want to use those. Number 9, be brief. Be quick about it, okay? You want your cover letter to be no more than 1 page long. Keep it short, keep it simple, silly. The KISS formula, right? So you want to make it sure it's to the point. Number 10. Remember, I've told you this in class. Proofread, proofread, proofread. Review it several times. Do not just click the spell check button. Click the spell check button, yes, but don't just do that. You want to read through it, and you want someone else to read through it, right? Sometimes you don't pick up mistakes that are there. All right, there's our top 10. Well, this brings us to the end of our presentation. And I want you to think about this question. If you were a manager, if you were in charge of hiring someone, what would catch your eye if you were screening through hundreds, if not thousands of cover letters and resumes? What's going to jump out at you? What's going to catch your eye to say, you know what, let's interview this person? So consider that. Make sure your notes are in order. Make sure you have your discussion questions. And we'll see you tomorrow. That's it. That's all. It's everything. Take care.